Linux installation is a bit intimidating, but surprisingly easy to do. Let's get into it. What's good, everybody? My name is Ren, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install a Linux distribution, which is essentially the different flavors of Linux. Now, this video is something I've been meaning to make for quite some time, and admittedly I've just been putting it off, but no more. Today we are going to go over what software, hardware, and skills you will need in order to try out Linux for yourself, and you may be surprised at just how easy it actually is. So without further ado, hit that like button, let me know if these sort of videos helped you out, and let's get started. So let's start off with the hardware. The only hardware you're going to need is a computer, which you're probably watching this video on, and a USB stick. Just any USB stick, preferably not a hard drive because it's a little bit harder to get those to work the same way. Just a cheap USB stick, probably around 8 to 16 gigabytes. I'd say 16 gigabytes to be on the safe side is all you're going to need. You can literally grab one from the store or order it off Amazon for a couple dollars. You don't need a fancy one. It just needs to be big enough to hold the files that we need to install. Now, when it comes to software that you need, you will need the ISO file of the distribution of your choice. This is essentially the disk image file of the entire operating system. You will also need a program called Balena Etcher or Balena Etcher or Balena Etcher. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. The reason that I'm suggesting this one is because this program is platform agnostic. There's a version for Windows, for Mac, and for Linux. If you're already on Linux, I don't know why you're watching this video, but hey, you can do it. We'll start things off by switching over to the desktop and grabbing an ISO file, and I'll show you everything you need to do. So now that we're on the desktop, you're going to want to open up your browser and find a distribution that you like. For this video, I'm going to be using Pop! OS, which is what I'm currently using. My cat just jumped onto the back of my chair. Hello. Hi. Oh, how are you doing? Hello, baby girl. Hi. Are you just, okay, are you just immediately jumping down? No? Yep. Okay. There she goes. Cats, am I right? You can't plan this. So anyway, I've got Firefox open. We are going to go over to download Pop! OS. You can get that from System76. So you can just search either Ubuntu download or Arch download or Manjaro download, whatever you want to use. I'm going to use Pop! OS. It's the one I'm the most familiar with. It's the one I recommend to new users. So that's where we're going to go. So for that, we're going to go to system76.com. I'm going to wait for it to load. And here we are in System76's website. It'll look a little bit different for you because I have a little plugin to make every website into a dark mode. I believe like this part near the top is actually supposed to be white with black text instead of this dark bluish black with white text. But you'll just click on the little tab, I think, or the text, I guess, that says Pop! OS. Once you're here, you'll have a little download button right here, and you'll be offered a couple different versions. Pop! OS 21.04 is the newest version. It is the current version that's out at the time of recording this video. And then there is 20.04 LTS, which stands for long-term support. This is the oldest version of Pop! OS that will continually get security updates and those sort of things. Now, I recommend just going ahead and grabbing the newest version. This is based off of an already considered stable, quote unquote, distribution of Linux called Ubuntu. So basically you're not going to have like programs the second they come out. They're going to be held back a little bit to wait for testing, make sure it doesn't break anything, and then you're good to go. Programs you can make be the newest version, and typically you're only like a week or so behind. You're not terribly held behind. I think the longest they hold it back is like a month. It's not the end of the world. So just go ahead and download the newest version, and you have two options for each version. That's going to be the standard 21.04 and then 21.04 NVIDIA. This is the version you want if you have an NVIDIA GPU, or if you plan on getting an NVIDIA GPU in the near future, or at all, basically. This is all this one does is that it has the NVIDIA drivers built in. They're pre-installed and set up for you, which is super easy to do. Or they're pre-installed because they're not easy to do. It's easy to have them pre-installed. They're a little bit of a pain to get installed yourself. They're not hard to do. It's just you have to use the terminal and stuff, and that scares people. So just download the one with the NVIDIA drivers built in if you plan to use NVIDIA. So we're going to click on that. I currently do use an NVIDIA GPU. We're going to save the file. So I'm going to save it to my downloads folder. And there we go. And it's going to take quite a while to download. As you can see right here, it's going to take me 10 minutes. So we're going to jump over and I'll skip to where I've already downloaded it. Now, another thing I will mention while this is downloading is that this company, System76, they actually sell computers and laptops with Pop! OS already installed and set up for you. So if you want to get a new PC and you've been considering trying out Linux and you can afford the little bit of extra cost of having to buy a bit more expensive for the hardware to compensate for the fact that the OS is free, they're a great option. Try them out. This is a sponsor. I just want to shout that out. Another thing to pull up is these things right here, these SHA, I can read, 256 sum. These are codes that you can use to verify the file that you download. So essentially, a legitimate copy of Pop! OS and the legitimate copy of Pop! OS with NVIDIA will have these SHA 256 sum number code things. In some installers, like the one that comes with Pop! OS called Popsicle, you can click a button, it'll generate the code from the ISO you downloaded. You can make sure that it matches these ones right here. If you're downloading straight from the website, typically you're fine and you don't have to do that, but you can as an extra security measure to make sure that you are downloading the correct image file. All right, now that we have Pop! OS downloaded, we are ready to go ahead and grab Balena Etcher. So open up a new tab and in your search engine, just look up Balena Etcher. I'm going to change how I pronounce this every time I say it to make everyone angry and nobody happy. And then you'll want to just download the version for your operating system. In my case, I'm downloading the one for Linux. You'll need to download either the one for Windows or the one for Mac OS. I'd recommend just getting the installer rather than portable. Portables are weird on Windows. I don't know entirely how to get them running. Installer is easy. You just run the installer, it's installed, you run the program, just like anything else. So in my case, I will download this version. Now, I believe I actually already have this download, so I'm going to actually cancel it because I think I have it already. Let me double check. Yes, so I already have it right here. This is the app image. It doesn't have an icon because I haven't set one. I need to set an icon for my app images, actually. None of them have an icon, and it's kind of hard to tell them apart because they all just look like a piece of paper. But once you have it downloaded and installed, you will need to double click and run the program. If you're on Linux, if you're using the app image. If you install it on Windows, you'll run through an installer. You can search for it in your task manager or whatever this is called on Windows. I forget what it's called. The program itself is going to work exactly the same. So flash from file is what you're going to pick. You will pick from your downloads folder, wherever you saved it, the ISO file that you just got. You will then select a target drive. Choose generics. So for me, I've got this generic storage drive. I have an SD card plugged in right now because I don't know where my USB went, but same idea applies. You will select the drive and then you'll click flash. I'm not going to actually flash it because the SD card actually has video footage that I need, but you'll click flash, wait a couple minutes, it'll install, and then you'll be done. I wonder if I actually do have an SD card or a USB stick I can use. I do have a USB stick I can use, so we will actually install it on this. Popped up under no label, cool. So we're gonna change to this, General UDisk. I don't know what UDisk is, but it's a 16 gig USB stick, as you can see. Select that, and then click flash. It'll ask for your administrator password if you need to put it in, because Linux, it likes to always make sure it has a password. So I'm going to move this away and I'm going to type that in so you can hear it. And as you can see, it'll start flashing. It's going to take about 13 minutes. Okay. Sure. So yeah, well, this is flashing, or it'll take 6 minutes. I don't know how long it'll take. So it'll take a little minute. Pull up Netflix, watch the show you've been putting off. Do something fun. Just wait for it to finish installing. Okay, it actually looks like it is going to take about 6 minutes. And hey, maybe while you're downloading that ISO, I'm live on Twitch. And if I am, you can watch me over at twitch.tv/itsrogueren. Watch me live and play games on Linux. Shameless plug. And here we are. We have just finished installing the ISO file onto our USB stick. And congrats, now you have a USB installer for Linux. No, we haven't. We're actually verifying it. Never mind, I jumped the gun on this. You can skip validating this if you want to. I typically just let it run just in case there's anything wrong with the ISO, like it didn't download correctly and got corrupted somewhere. So you might as well, it's only 2 minutes. Okay, now we're done. As you can see, it remounted the drive to now say it's Pop! OS. So now we're finished. I jumped the gun earlier. And you can just close Etcher once you're finished. And here's where things start to get complicated. So the biggest thing first, right out of the bat, is while you're still in your current operating system, whatever it is, back up everything you want to keep. Back up everything you want to keep. If you only have the one drive and you're wanting to fully install Linux and replace whatever you currently have, whether that be Windows or like Mac OS if you're on a MacBook or something, back up everything you want to keep. Installing a new OS completely formats and erases the drive it's installed on because it needs to have a fresh slate to work from. You cannot keep anything that you don't back up. It will permanently be deleted. So back it up. I cannot stress this enough. Back it up. This is why I recommend that you install to another hard drive if you have like a tower PC, or maybe if you are technically inclined, you can create a separate partition to install it to. That is more complicated. I'm not going to get into that in this video. There are other videos about it. I may make a follow-up to this about how to make partitions and things of that nature. But for right now, just back up everything you have to either an external hard drive, to some sort of cloud service. Any way you can, just back up the important files such as photos, videos, audio files, music or audio files. I don't know why I said that twice. Save files for games that don't have cloud saves. Any sort of important tools that you may need or may want to try out that you can't download again. Anything that may be discontinued and you don't have a download link for anymore. Anything, if you cannot download it right this second, immediately again, back it up. Back it up and have save files or backups of it. Now that you've got your USB made, what you're going to need to do is to get to the more complicated section. So first things first is you're going to want to have your USB that's finished being set up, have it plugged into a USB port on your computer, and you're going to want to reboot it. And now we'll jump over to me with my computer screen, rebooting my computer to show you what to do after that. Now, when you turn on your computer, you're going to need to rapidly tap a button that'll be listed in the bottom corner where you can see on mine. I'm sorry for the bad image quality. I had to record this with my actual camera. So for my case, I'm going to quickly tap F11 so that I can get to the boot selection. Now, one thing I forgot to mention during my initial recording of this section is that you need to actually disable Secure Boot and Fast Boot in your BIOS settings. The way you get to that is the same as going to this boot USB. You are just going to quickly tap on startup a different button. In my case, it's like, I believe, delete for my computer, if I'm remembering correctly. Again, it'll say in that little section down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen which button you need to tap. And unfortunately, I also cannot show you which settings exactly you need to go to because it's different from motherboard to motherboard. I'll have linked below as many guides as I can find from as many different motherboards, at least for the major ones. So I'll have probably ASROCK, ASUS, and then Gigabyte, any other major ones that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. But any major motherboards, I'll try to find some sort of post somewhere on the internet that I can link down in a pinned comment or in the description for how to disable Fast Boot and Secure Boot. And then you can go through and find your boot USB, which will probably show up as just like USB or something along those lines, or maybe Pop! OS or EMFI or UEFI OS, something along those lines. You're going to choose it and press enter, and you'll start seeing all this weird, crazy text. It doesn't matter. Every OS does this. Most of them just hide it. This install USB just didn't. So I'm seeing all the stuff that it's typically doing in the background behind a, like, Windows's loading screen. That little loading, like the OS's loading screen with the circle. This is what it's doing behind the scenes, or something similar to it. It's not exact because Windows is its own operating system. It's not based on Linux. So the actual processes are probably a little different. But the idea is that it's loading all the OS files. Usually it would do it in the background. This one's just showing it do it all. It's a little helpful for figuring out why something won't boot. You can see where there's an error and figure it out. Especially if you record it and can look back at it later. But for most people, it doesn't matter. Just ignore it. Just don't click anything and wait for it to load up and you're fine. It looks scary, but you don't have to actually do anything. But then once it's loaded, you will get Pop! OS right there on the installer. and you're ready to go. My installer is actually on another screen because for some reason, every time I boot into and install USB, it thinks my second monitor is my main monitor, so I have to flip them around. But now I have it flipped to be properly set up so that my main monitor is the correct one. You will have this. This is the installer system. So you're going to go through, you'll select your install language, you'll select the region for that language, which for me will be United States English. Then you will choose your keyboard layout, which I'm just going to use English US because that's what I have. Then you'll choose the variation of it, which I'm just going to use the normal variation. And then you can pick if you want to do a normal clean install, which is what I will recommend if you're wanting to completely wipe your drive, or you can choose a custom installation. Before you get to this, make sure you have backups of everything. Don't just willy-nilly click stuff. I'm doing an advanced installation because I'm switching over to an SSD. I want to split my OS over and all this fancy stuff. You don't need to worry about that. But yes, make sure you have backups of your stuff before you do this. Backup any user data you want, like photos, images, videos, save files for any games that don't have cloud saves, those sort of things that cannot be re-downloaded or recovered. Make sure you have backups of those before you even get this far into the video. I'll probably put another warning somewhere earlier in the video. I'm just going to reiterate it here. Back up. Make backups. This will delete your drive completely and everything on it. Make backups. Or do what I do, and if you want to dual boot it, have it on a separate drive, and while you're installing Linux, have that other drive unplugged. Just flat out unplugged. But then you can click install, it'll run through the installer, and you will have Pop! OS installed, or your Linux distribution of choice. Now I'm just going to speed through me doing my custom partitions and special installation stuff. If you want me to do a video on how to do these different partitions, like split your install between an SSD and a hard drive for storage to have like a different home directory, let me know in the comments down below and I'll make a video about it. But for right now, I'm just going to skip through this part and we're going to say I just did a normal installation and not worry about the partitions and stuff like that. Because if you do a clean install on a new drive, you don't need to worry about the partitions. It'll do all that for you. So we're just going to speed this up, skip straight to where I have finished installing it, which should be right about here. And at this point, we are then going to reboot. This was a process. If you're still lost on anything at all when it comes to installing Linux, or if something went wrong during your installation, you're having errors or something, you can check out my Discord server. It'll be linked down below. We have a tech support channel. A lot of people there are really helpful. It's not a huge community, but we have quite a few people who are very skilled at these things who would be more than willing to help out. And sometimes I'm there to help out as well. That's going to be it for this video. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, all that good stuff, and check me out over on Patreon if you want to support these videos and get them a little bit early. I'm going to be starting to upload these about a week early if I can do it. It's no guaranteed on consistency for Patreon, unfortunately, just due to the fact that I don't have a backlog still. But I will be trying to post these around Tuesday or Wednesdays on Patreon to have them go up then on Friday on YouTube. But that's going to be all from me. Again, you can check me out over live on Twitch and follow me on Twitter. It's Rogan for both of those. And I will see you all next time. Peace out.